Welcome to I Heart Geek.
And welcome to another episode of I Heart Geek.
What happened?
Wow.
I was reaching for something behind me, and he pressed record.
In true hockey standards, yes. Today we are discussing the movies and the upcoming series of the Mighty Ducks. We're not going to play the My Team, Your Team stuff today because nobody wants to hear that unless you're on Georgia on Ice, and then we can do that all day long.
He says we're not, but
that was a free plug.
Like, evolve into
Thank
this
you.
at some point in time.
No, people get like really, with hockey fans, I've noticed people get really upset if you don't mention their team. So therefore this is why I'm wearing a fictional team, you know.
Or if you mention your team's rival.
Oh yeah, we don't do that because there's just so much
especially
anger.
Here.
Because people don't understand just to love hockey. But
Wait,
that's its own thing.
The Golden Knights
is
have
funny.
rivals? You guys are
Yes, and
new.
we're not going to go into it. We'll talk about it afterwards.
I'll tell you later when you're older.
Literally, this went on for 3 weeks of literal hatred on our page.
All
After we did this after the 2 years ago, I think. I don't.
Yeah, I think it was 2 years ago.
Okay, so today's episode is brought to you by Pee Wee Hockey. It's a great way to save money on your dental procedures. Okay, it's a stereotype, but it's funny. I'm Dub. I do stuff. I am here today with Courtney, and I'm here with John from California, kind of from California, and we are here with Chris, who actually is one of the voices for the New Jersey Devils. And I think that this is worth bringing up today. Can you tell us about how that whole process works before we get into the movies?
Sure. So, back when I was a younger lad than I am now, for those of you watching.
9?
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
I've been a New Jersey Devils fan my whole life, and I would say in the 2012 season where we went to the Cup final, one of my brother's friends was the Zamboni driver. So, and I was like, hey, I sing. Do you know anyone here who would listen? And he's like, yeah. And I know a guy in true Jersey fashion. So I annoyed him. He annoyed another person, and that person got to who is now my contact there. And I sang for the first time in the 2013 season. And for the past 7 seasons, I have accumulated I believe, 0.725 win percentage. So when I sing, they win. So
is what you're saying is you haven't sang in a long time.
No, I have not sung. That's why they're terrible, because I haven't sung for them.
Is that nerve-wracking, or is it like your drush, or?
It is probably the most chill gig I do, because I'm a fan, and the fact that I'm just living a dream as a fan. I'm like supporting my team, and
they give you a free jersey.
They do, actually. I have 2 free jerseys from them.
Oh, look out now.
Yeah. Well, you know, I could get into the whole, you know, when they redesigned our uniforms, but
yeah, we're not going to talk about that.
Yeah, I'll save it for my podcast.
Yeah. I have a feeling you have inspiration to talk about on Georgia on Ice. Go check it out on iTunes. Actually, I know I sound like I'm joking, but you guys should check out his show. It is actually entertaining, and it's one of the things I look forward to on Wednesdays.
Oh, thanks.
So I know that everybody seems like they've grown up with the Mighty Ducks movies. In fact, to the point that it seems, and there's been some statistical factors that they've had that says that Mighty Ducks is responsible for the rise in popularity of hockey in North America in general. Well, America, not Canada, because let's be honest. It's Canada. So what was your guys' first experience with the Mighty Ducks? Let's start with Courtney.
My brother watched it. My brother was he still is, but when he was little, he was really like really little, was into hockey, like big time.
Mm-hmm.
He was a Kings fan. He knew all the players' names, and this was back when Gretzky was still on the team.
The golden years.
Yeah, I mean, like all that stuff. And we went to the back when they were playing the Great Western Forum. So like the Ducks almost got my brother into hockey,
Mm-hmm.
and then he just kind of drugged me along with it. My dad was a hockey fan, but we would watch. I think he had lines from this movie memorized. I think he wanted to be a Duck at one point in time. I mean, so that was my first experience, and you know, I'm a lot older than I guess the average Duck watcher.
No, actually, I think we're about the average, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I guess because the kid who plays Charlie is probably my age now.
Yeah, he is actually exactly our age.
Yeah, so it was, I guess,
He's 60?
the neighbor. My
Okay.
brother was. I'm not that old. Come
No,
on,
I'm
man.
not saying you, Courtney. I'm talking about
I'm at least
I'm talking about Dub.
59.
I'm talking about Dub. Dub's the one that I keep joking about being 60.
What about you, John?
I watched it when I was a kid. Like I was legitimately like 10 or 11 when that movie came out, and that was the best thing ever. I had a Ducks jersey. That's what I wanted for Christmas that year. You know,
a Mighty Ducks jersey, not a Ducks
Mighty
jersey.
Ducks jersey. Sorry, a Mighty Ducks jersey. When the team came out, I was just all about the Mighty Ducks. My dad's work had Kings tickets, and I would wear my Mighty Ducks jersey to the Kings games.
Oh,
and people would get a little.
There've always been a rough fan base.
Yeah, well, one of my favorite games was a Kings versus Ducks game where it was supposed to be. It was like 5 minutes left in the third period, and basically it took a half hour to get through that 5 minutes because they kept fighting each other. The Kings were winning 3-1. It was bad. It was like puck drops, stick, gloves.
That sounds like the Solani years.
I legitimately think I remember that game.
Yeah, that's the Solani years, I'm guessing.
And they didn't stop the game until they didn't stop the fight until somebody picked them up and threw them on the ice.
The Ducks had the coolest stadium name though.
Oh,
the
yeah,
Duck Pond?
The Arrowhead Pond.
Yes,
Yeah.
they did. Chris, what about you?
My first experience with the Mighty Ducks franchise was back in my youth. You know, of the movies...
Yesterday.
Yeah, basically.
You owe me a Coke there.
Of the movies we were allowed to watch in Catholic school, the Mighty Ducks franchise was on that list. And this was before I really fell in love with hockey. But I remember seeing those beautiful eggplant and jade jerseys from D2 and then the actual team. And last night I was doing some inspirational highlight watching of when Scotty Stevens laid the hammer down on Paul Correa in the 2003 Stanley Cup final, but I'm getting ahead of myself.
A little bit, yeah.
But
we're not talking about the team. We're talking about the movies. Big difference.
but it's on the movies. I would say it had a pivotal role in exposing at least in the United States and especially in Southern California and California in general. It helped expand the sport of hockey into the West and the Southwest United States, where you would typically not have those hockey markets.
Yeah.
Well, where I grew up, like we ended up having like a bunch of like roller hockey like leagues pop up as a result of that. I ended up playing street hockey with friends like all the time. Wasn't interested in hockey. I played baseball and soccer when I was a kid, and then all of a sudden Mighty Ducks comes out and it's like, I want to do this.
Yeah. No, I remember this being the first hockey movie I'd ever seen. I wasn't a huge hockey fan. I mean, I'd watch the Flyers when they'd be on TV because I liked the orange uniforms. I'd watch the Kings because Gretzky was playing, and then the Sharks showed up, and I'm like, ooh. And then I kind of started following, and this was my first. And then this was the first movie that I saw that I'm like, and I can totally relate to this. And you're a kid because you're like, wow, well, these rules they're really not putting these on both sides, are they? That's not a cross check. That's boarding into the head. Anyway.
Yeah, when I was watching all the movies, I was just like calling all the penalties that went uncalled in these movies. Like a cross checking gets 2 minutes, yet, Fulton Reed, fights a guy and he gets a 10-minute game misconduct, and I'm like, that's wrong.
After the late hit.
Yeah, he should have gotten a penalty for that late hit.
Yeah. I was thinking the same thing last night. I'm like, what? What is this? No.
It's amazing how we're still angry about this all these years later.
They ejected Fulton, and I'm like, no.
When you're a kid, you don't notice this crap, and so like all of a sudden, like as an adult, you're like, hey, that's not okay. You shouldn't be doing that. You're just like, oh, I'm just watching a movie. You know?
Right.
So let's ask this honestly, like I was talking about earlier with the Ducks franchise being directly related to the growth of hockey in the United States. Why? I mean, you go back, you watch it now. This is definitely a kids movie, even more than I realized before my rewatch. I remember it being, well, adults can like this too, but no, it was Disney afternoon type.
Well, no, it was basically
Stuff.
like watching the Santa Claus. Like it's geared, like you have some stuff that's like, okay, yeah, adults might enjoy, but it really was geared towards kids.
Mm-hmm. I
You
think
know,
that
it's
they
the
did
same
that
thing.
right
Yeah.
until the third movie, where they tried to go angsty and no one liked it. So, any other theories on why this movie in particular had such an impact?
Because there was no other movie like this in the the space. Honestly, there were no hockey movies.
There was
like,
Slapshot.
Yeah.
See, I don't even know that movie.
That was in the 70s.
But like that,
Guess
I
what
don't
we're
really know
watching
that
after this.
movie. But I mean, like the Ducks, like everybody saw that movie. You know, like all of kids saw that movie because it was one of the few kids movies that was out. But still, like they didn't have anything like Miracle come out yet. Like that kind of like it wasn't. You didn't have any of the good feeling sports movies for hockey.
Yeah.
See, with a movie like Slapshot, that movie was geared more towards adults and adult comedy.
100% towards adults.
Whereas
kids shouldn't be watching that one.
Oh no, not at all. But the magical world of Disney decided to give us this gem of a movie, and it really inspired not just a lot of hockey sports movies, but just like sports movies in general.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the greatest sports movies came out after the Mighty Ducks series.
Yeah, well, and there was no animals in it.
Yeah, I should say
that did make a difference.
Yeah, after D2, because D3,
we don't talk about that.
Yeah,
that's like the last.
It's like Santa Claus 3.
Yeah, we just. Courtney.
Well, I mean, I think part of it is, I mean, the Midwest and back east, they play hockey. They have more exposure to hockey. So I think when we say that this kind of opened up hockey for the coast, let's say opened up the hockey for the rest of the country, because like, yeah, we had the Kings, but in Vegas, we didn't really, I mean, yeah, we would watch the Kings, but it was like, okay, hockey's all right, but it doesn't make any sense because we're a hot weather city, and even they don't even play hockey all that much up in Reno. So
they're starting to now, by the way.
Yeah, they're starting to now. But I mean, we had the Lightning, and I think we got the Lightning, which was an IHL team. I think we got it after the popularity of the Mighty Ducks exploded.
And then we had the Wranglers after that, which was one of my favorite.
Yeah, the Wranglers came after the Lightning. The Lightning were what we had first. And I honestly think it was either around the same time or after, and I don't know if it was a direct result trying to capitalize on the popularity of hockey. But I mean, it's such a feel-good movie, even taking the hockey out of it. It's like Chris said, it's a little gem of a movie, and I think it just made so many people feel good, kids and adults. That kind of spurred on, and then like with me, it was like, oh well, hockey's actually kind of cool. Yeah. And so I would sit down with my brother when he would watch the Kings games, and I go, okay, tell me what that is. Tell me what that is. What that just happened. Are you allowed to do that? Is he allowed to hit him like that? Because I had no idea what the rules were. And so, like, for me, it was a sport I knew existed, but hadn't had a lot of experience with. And I thought it was, it's for boys. And so this movie told me, because there's girls on the team. So it's like, oh, everybody can hockey. Cool. Yeah. So I think it touched a nerve with a lot of people, and I think that's why it's lasted, but why it also kind of made everybody look at hockey in a different way. At least everybody here on the West Coast look at hockey in a different way.
So let me ask you guys this: with the between the, and we're just gonna go between movie 1 and movie 2, between Mighty Ducks and D2. There was a lot of changes that happened. First off, all the kids hit puberty, so they were all at different sizes suddenly. Charlie was the biggest kid on the team, and then he's the smallest kid on the team, and the Bombay story changed drastically, and I don't want to say it lost its magic, because actually I like D2 better, but that it changed a lot. Do you guys wish they would have stopped, or do you think that, or could they have even made the movie with the characters as they were?
I think they could have made it. They just needed to not have Gordon Bombay essentially be what is it like? It's kind of like all of a sudden he's had like the worst luck ever in his entire life, and now all of a sudden he can't do anything else. And it's like, the dude has a freaking law degree. He has something to fall back on. It doesn't mean that he's now, prostituting himself or like doing drugs like in a back alley. Like,
but it looks like it from the series, but we'll get to that on the main event.
No. But I'm just saying, like, it just every time it's like the beginning of each movie, it's like Bombay's had the worst like year of his life, and it's like, again, you got a freaking law degree. You have something to fall back on. Okay, it's the off season. I have a torn ACL. Well, you know what? I'll just do contracts and crap like that, and I'll make some money. Like, I mean, literally, the guy can survive and not just be like, well, I guess I got to do this coach thing again. Like, I've got nothing else going for me.
I think Disney wasn't prepared for the popularity of the first one. So they
by the marketing, if you would be able to say that, because they marketed the crap out of those movies. Like,
no, but I'm talking about why D2 is so different character-wise than D3. I mean, one, you have to address the fact that the kids are now like hit puberty.
Yeah. And not all of them aged as well as they should have.
Yeah, and I think
cute factor went away.
I think what happened is I think Disney wasn't prepared for that I don't think they had a D2 on deck, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times, these studios will have a property and then they might have sequels planned out. And they may not have started everything, but they'll have sequels planned out because if it's popular, then they can go forth with the sequel. I don't think they had a sequel. No. I think it was supposed to be a one-off.
That was back when they didn't have sequels like automatically planned as if the success was going to be good. Like you had like the sequels were always like an afterthought, and even then they didn't have the same writers usually, or the people who came up with the characters. It was always some dude. It's like, well, he can write a script real quick, and let's just try and mine this for a little bit, and just try and get as much as we can out of it, but not actually put any substance out.
And I think that's what happened with this is I think Disney wasn't ready, and it became a whole lot more popular than they assumed. Because back at that point in time, they were making all these cute little sports movies, like that Cool Runnings was around the same time, and all that kind of stuff. Those kind of fun, feel good sports movies. I just think they weren't ready. And so they said, oh crap, we need to have a sequel. Let's see if we can monopolize on this. Plus, I think they just bought the Ducks team. Yes. And so they wanted to keep it rolling. And so they came up with D2, and it was just the weirdest characterizations in some parts. Like,
but it works.
Okay. It works.
You can watch D2 first and still get it.
Yeah, because they're essentially the same movie, just they change. Instead of the Hawks, you have Team Iceland, and instead of the Pee Wee hockey tournament, you have the Goodwill Games. But, I think they could have gotten away with stopping after D2, because D2, was made to promote the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim franchise. They even filmed the movie in the now Honda Center. Yeah, where the actual
it's
Ducks
always going to
play.
be the Arrowhead Pond, okay?
Yeah,
where they invented the knuckle puck.
Yeah, it's knuckle puck time.
But I remember trying to do that as a kid. As soon as I saw that movie, it's like, ooh, what's this?
And it didn't work.
But I think even the first movie was so charming and so perfect for what it is that the second movie was kind of like, did they really need to do this? Probably not. But did they want to do it for the money? Oh, yes, they did. Yeah. And, we're not going to talk about the third one.
I can't remember. It's either the second or the third one. Emilio Estevez, the only reason he came back is because he made a deal with Disney that they would help him fund a movie he wanted to direct, one that he'd written and he wanted to direct. So the only reason he came back is Coach Bombay. I want to say it was probably D2, to be honest.
Well, because he's such a minor part in D3.
He's in
It
the
might
movie for
be
like
D3.
2 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was
Charlie,
just
I'll tell you what.
He said the only way he'd come back is if they do that, and then they first they did, so he came back as Coach Bombay, and then he said, "I'm done. I'm not doing anymore." And then there was that little bit in D3, and oh look, now he's back as Coach Bombay in the TV series.
Let's be honest. What's his career been doing lately?
He's actually been doing a lot. I literally
Yeah,
looked it
he's
up 'cause
living
I
off
had
of the
same
interest.
thought.
Really? Yeah, he's just
I
living
had
off the
the
entrance.
same
Like
thought.
I haven't seen him too much. It's like, oh,
He did Young Guns too. I think he's okay.
He's been doing a lot of directing because I had the same thought. I was watching. I'm like, wonder what happened to him. So I went and Googled him to
he
see
became a real Gordon Bombay.
Right. He's been
Oh.
directing.
He's managing an ice rink somewhere.
Yeah.
And-
Nice. He's
and-
been
and like-
directing and writing.
And like
Basically.
Paul Rudd, he's barely aged a day.
Oh, I don't think
No
he's
joke.
got exactly the Paul Rudd genes, because you can see it. You can see it in his face. It's like he's not as had a hard life as his brother, but I mean, but you can see he's had a little bit of a rough time. And
Yeah.
Fun fact:
you can see it in
Charlie
the eyes.
Sheen was actually offered Coach Bombay.
Oh my goodness.
And
He would have been
turned
better.
it down.
He would have
He
been
Would
turned
not
it
have
down.
been better. He
Oh,
would
yeah.
not have been better. That would have been a train.
There was
He
a list. Who else was it? There's like a list of people who had got it. Emilio Estevez was actually the last one to be offered,
Charlie
and there was
Sheen would have
somebody
been
who was
literally,
actually
I don't
hired.
like hockey and I don't like kids.
There was somebody that was hired before, and right before the shooting, they had to drop out, and that's when Emilio Estevez was given
Was it
a
Eric
part.
Stoltz again?
Probably, but no.
Oh, wow. So-
Poor Eric Stoltz in every 80s movie he got kicked out of.
But how do you guys feel, or does it even matter to you when you watch the movies about the extreme differences of Bombay in general? For instance, in the first movie, he played Pee Wee hockey till he was 12, and then he never touched a puck again. And in the next movie, he was all the way up in the minors, getting a shot to the NHL when he got hurt. I'm like, that's not how any of this works. But did any of this actually? Honestly, it didn't bother me at the time, and now when I watch it, I'm like, he's a lawyer.
Well, what I had, one of the questions I had when I was watching is when they go to the North Star. Well, they're not the North Stars now, are they? They're the
No.
Gallagers. Well, they go to the North Star Stadium, the arena, for
The
him to
XL
let them
Stadium,
practice.
yes.
Yeah, and he the two North Stars come in and they're like, yeah, I remember this guy from Pee Wee hockey.
Bull.
Really? Really?
Mike Madonna remembers you. No,
Well,
he doesn't.
considering he's Canadian, so it's like, how do you remember a Pee Wee hockey kid from 20 years ago in Minnesota? Like, yeah, that was the most far-fetched part for me. And he's like, let me know if you want to try in the minors. I'm like,
And-
he could barely skate again at the beginning of the movie.
I do have a theory about that on one
Okay.
thing real quick with Madonna. I think that Disney knew they were buying their team. I think they wanted Madonna on the Ducks, so therefore they put him on. Because, I mean,
Maybe.
at the time, Madonna was American Gretzky, greatest American goal scorer, I believe, in history, if I'm not mistaken. But
He's up there.
yeah, he's really high up there.
Yeah.
So, did this stuff bother either you two gentlemen?
It
I
still
mean-
doesn't really bother me now as an adult, but I mean, like the stuff with Gordon bothers me just because it's like, can you like not
Pick
make
a lane?
him- Yeah, or, like pick a lane, and like again though, it's like the dude's a lawyer. He's not booting black tar heroin. Like he can.
John cannot get over the fact that he's a lawyer and
Well,
didn't
no,
do
like
it.
I'm sitting there. I'm like, the guy has a legitimate degree. It's like, oh, if he was a doctor and he's like down on his luck, it's like the dude can do medical stuff. Like, it's not like he was like, oh, I'm a janitor somewhere, and it was like a Goodwill Hunting situation, and all of a sudden he's like back down on his luck. Like he has something to fall back on. He doesn't have to be living in a back alley somewhere. Like it just, I know I keep making it worse every time, but
Right.
it's just that's the part that bugs me the most.
Well,
It's
I
like,
don't-
okay, he goes from like, I'm making all this freaking money to now all of a sudden, like, I can barely afford to eat.
It didn't bother me that he went from being a lawyer to like getting a shot at the minors. That didn't bother
No.
me as much as him getting fired from his law firm for coaching a pee-wee hockey team.
It's
I
not
had a
getting
thought about that last night. I was like, okay, so he's getting fired because he didn't like want to do what the boss was saying about the rules or whatever. And I'm like, well, here's the thing though. As a lawyer yourself, you should know he could sue you for wrongful termination for a lot of freaking money.
Yeah.
Like, is this some hockey?
That's how he bought that ice rink later.
Well, no, it's just like
then we wouldn't have that cool scene where he walks out quacking and then points to the jersey.
Oh, that was terrible. Oh, so bad.
But he still could have. It's like he still probably sued them for a crap ton of money. It's like, hey, you know what? Is this one kid playing on this other team worth a couple mil for you, bro? Like, seriously.
and as you alluded to, he has a law degree. He's a practicing and like legitimate attorney. Yeah. So what if he got fired? He could like start his own firm or go join another firm and still coach the team.
And while we're at this subject, let's talk about Adam Banks' dad. Why is he still wearing the other team's colors for Pee-wee hockey?
Yeah,
while watching his son play. I'm like,
as a kid, that bothered me. I was just like, what kind of jerk would
guitar?
Guitar.
So what kind of jerk would do that? Like, he's got to be like the worst father if he's sitting there wearing the Hawks colors, sitting in the Hawks stadium or the Hawks stands, like cheering for them. And it's like, come on, dude! Like,
what a scumbucket, right?
Yeah, are you that bad of a dad?
Last night when I rewatched it, because it'd been a really long time since I'd watched it, and I got like extraordinarily angry when they showed the dad sitting there wearing the Hawks jersey. And I cannot tell you the words that came out of my mouth because I don't want to get guitared. But it was two, and first one starts with an M, and the second one starts with an F. And I was so mad. Like, I don't think I noticed it as a kid, but as an adult, I was like, what kind of crappy parent are you that your kid is on the ice dressed as a duck, and he's been playing for the Ducks for a while now. It's not
it's been a few games. It wasn't like this was the first game back.
He was MVP. I mean, he'd scored like probably 10 to 15 goals at the time. What did Gordon Bombay get? 159 goals?
Are you? Put on a Ducks jersey. Yes. Sorry.
Another guitar. Jeez.
Sorry, it just came out.
You guys are making me sound like Eddie Van Halen. Now, this movie is very unoffensive, but there is a part in here that I'm surprised that Disney Plus let through. The line, you know which one I'm talking about?
I think so. Does it have to do with a cookie?
Yes.
Oh my God.
I was like, and you know, I don't care. I don't care about political correctness stuff, but I'm like, wow.
Wait, what line are you talking about?
Really?
The Oreo line.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, yeah, it's and one of them was Josie Smollett. So that was what's kind of funny.
Yeah.
I think last night I went, because I don't think I must have never noticed it before. But I'm like,
and I don't get offended by stuff. I don't care, but I'm just surprised that Disney did not do something like.
They didn't do.
It goes by so fast.
It was,
but they should have, if they're gonna do like some of the other movies where it's got like the disclaimer at the beginning.
Yeah,
like have a disclaimer at the beginning of this one. I mean, it's
because casual '90s racism. It was totally fine by Disney.
Well,
I think because nobody's made us think about it is probably
if you've played hockey, your kids play hockey, your kids have heard way worse because it's hockey.
Well, and it's only said the one time in the playoffs.
Yeah, the Hawks,
and it goes by so fast.
No, but then the kids call themselves the Oreo line, like when they score.
Yeah, I think they probably did.
They're like Oreo line. Like,
oh, I missed that. Maybe I had to go get a drink or something in the park.
So, I'm sure that eventually Disney will have a fit about it, but until now, it doesn't bother me. But I was surprised that they let it go. Okay, so yeah, sorry if there was a technical glitch there. Get over it. You didn't pay for this show. It's not like it's Patreon. Speaking of which, you should join our Patreon, but where we don't have any technical glitches, and we give you a metric poop ton of extra content.
It's been so long since the poop ton has come out.
It's been a while. Mm-hmm. And subscribe and share with a friend and comment on these because that helps a lot. So first thing, not first thing, this is like the ninth thing I want to discuss, but I want to talk about what happened to some of the cast of this movie, and some of them turned into pretty big stars. We have Charlie, who went pretty big on Dawson's Creek, and
Done a lot.
He's been a bit player for a while, but he's still around.
Yeah, he's done a lot.
Don't forget Fringe.
Yeah, he's in Fringe.
Yeah,
the show that I keep telling you to watch.
I know. I'm so deep in the woods right now, and what stuff I need to watch.
He's done a lot of stuff.
Let's see who else we got. We have
Jesse Smollett.
Jesse Smollett, who does a very as part of the Oreo line. I'm just quoting. Don't get mad at me. Get mad at Disney or something. Let's see. We have Eldon Henson, who was Fulton, who was huge right at the time, and now he's kind of a squat, short, fat guy.
I think he was at his like full height when he was in the Mighty Ducks, because
I think so too.
He's only 5'9", and I'm just like, did he just like have his growth spurt? Like he's like 10 years older than the rest of the team, or he just had his growth spurt a lot quicker than the other guys.
He did, but on that same line, if you go to Mighty Ducks 2, you have the other enforcer guy from New York. He ended up being a really short guy, and he is in the movie Rent, the movie version of Rent. I think he was on Broadway for a while. He's one of the people that did were in the counseling room. Huh. Yeah, he's the one that has the solo. If you watch that,
interesting. And for the nerds out there keeping score, the guy Eldon, he's Foggy in Daredevil, and he's Castor in the Hunger Games trilogy.
So yeah, he's. I think he probably went on to the most success, honestly.
No,
I'd say
Josh Jackson's been doing Jackson's probably more successful.
Kenan Thompson,
he directs stuff too.
Kenan, Kenan was in the second one, and he's the longest running SNL character and SNL cast member in history. And he has this new TV show, and he's been in movies, and
well, that new TV show is not going to last very long. Let's be honest.
It's fine. He's got that SNL money.
He has a lot of SNL money. I'm just kind of looking through the list.
The three of them.
Well, Emilio Estevez, I guess, is kind of big.
They're still steadily working.
Emilio Estevez got that Men at Work money.
and the love interest from the second movie, she was on Law and Order, Criminal Intent.
She was in a lot.
Yeah.
You know what bothered me with the female goalie? She went through the whole movie, and she left her family, left her friends, so that she can show what she can do. She had one play, which was one part of a shootout.
The game-saving shootout.
Yeah, that bothered me a lot.
I think that
we need more girls in here. Let's find a place for them.
Well, no, honestly, I think that was because at the time D2 was out. Interestingly enough, Las Vegas Thunder had Lightning. The Lightning only had we had the first and only female goalie at the time. And in fact, to this day, she is still the only female goalie who has ever played in an NHL game.
It's the one who played for the Tampa Bay Lightning?
Yeah, Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
She played 3 games, I think.
One game?
I thought she played 3.
One game.
And now she's a goalie coach.
She was I'm trying to remember what her name was. My brother would know. We have a puck signed by her, but yeah, she played for the Thunder, the Las Vegas Thunder, and at the time D2 came out, it was because I think they were trying to capitalize on that, and that's why they threw a girl in the goal in D2, because it was a really big deal that there was this female goalie in the IHL.
Yeah,
and then she got bumped up to play
Tampa for
one game in the NHL.
But the history making,
right.
Another thing that bothered me: what the heck happened to Charlie's mom?
That's a common.
She had a successful career as a waitress. And so she was
no, I'm just like, they built up all of that, and she's gonna be a part of Charlie's life forever, blah blah. And then, I
looked at her IMDb credits, and she didn't do much after that. She only was in 7 things.
I'm sure she could have used the work then. I'm sure she wasn't in contract negotiation,
or she just didn't want to act anymore, and she got tired of it.
Gordon kicked her the curb because she was like John from California sitting there going, "You're a lawyer. You have a lot.
He's like, I can do better than this.
You're playing. You're
He's
playing
kinda Julia
minor
Roberts
league
type
hockey.
That was a common occurrence, like when they do those sequels in the 80s and the 90s. Sometimes the girlfriends from the previous would
Change.
disappear,
Yeah.
or they would change. But
Girl in
again,
a fridge.
I think that also shows that Disney was not prepared for a sequel. So they're like,
Yeah.
well, we'll just cut her out. We don't need her for
Well, it
this.
wasn't like
Let's set the
you
whole
were
thing in
signing a-
California so we don't have to bring her along with it.
It wasn't like you were signing a contract like they are now. It's like, okay, well, if we do a sequel, we're locking you in now. They
Mhm.
just, it was always like just one-offs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So
I think that's what happened to Mom.
So let's move on to our listener feedback.
And now, let's see what all of our geek rock stars have to say.
Okay, so for this version of the listener feedback, Courtney said she's too good for you guys and she doesn't want to read them.
That's not what I said.
At all. But Chris is going to read them.
I heard her say it.
Our question was,
Throwing me under
which
the bus.
duck did you like most growing up and why? So go to town, the Mr. Giorgetti.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for listener feedback, as Dub said. First listener feedback comes from CJ Linnell. He says his favorite duck is probably Jesse. He's the first black kid he saw play hockey, and it got him interested as a kid. He never went on to play, but surely did my fair share of driveway ball through my youth. Thank you, CJ. And I believe you and I share one thing in common, CJ. We're both national anthem singers for NHL teams. Go Devils.
No.
Andy Trudell says Charlie was his favorite duck. He grew up playing hockey, and he was the character he most identified with. Fun fact, he lived in Minnesota during the filming of the original movie. If my school had not come down with a nasty case of food poisoning, I might have been an extra in the hockey scenes. Also cool, the scene where he's handing out the jerseys was filmed at the rink that I scored my first ever goal in. The memories. That's awesome, Andy. And finally, from Oscar Vlad Rivas, Goldberg. For me,
Not
he's
that
the
one.
most... Oh, sorry. Goldberg! For me, he's the most memorable, and it's because of him that he's a goalie now. Plus, he has one of the best lines thrown at him in D2, which is, and I quote, "Hey, Goldberg, I bet if that puck was a cheeseburger, you'd stop it." And that is our listener feedback.
Yeah. We definitely appreciate our listener feedback, and thank you. Keep it coming, guys. It makes the show better. Speaking of Goldberg, that's a sad story, but I think it had
Yeah.
Is it a happy? Are we at
Well,
happy?
he's starting to turn his life around.
Okay.
People helped him get the surgery so he could actually have teeth again. And seriously, he rotted his teeth out from meth.
Yeah, he was a drug addict.
No, he basically lost all his teeth, and so they helped him get teeth, and he went through rehab. I guess he's out now, like an outpatient or whatever. And he I've seen some pictures, and he seems to be looking better than he did.
Well, we are all hoping that he
Yeah.
turns it around. This is that I want the happy ending. I don't want the sad ending. We have too many of those, especially with the child star thing. But that's its own episode altogether. So let's jump on over to the main event.
Now it's time for the main event.
Dun, dun, dun.
Okay, and 3. Okay, so for this version of the main event, we said we're doing hockey. We're not gonna do no top fives because then we'll just fight. We'll all get 5 for fighting at the end of that one. So instead, we're just going to talk about the series. And basically, I want to talk about what we thought of the first episode and maybe what we would like to see going forward in this series. So let's start with what did you guys think of this first episode? And I want to throw this in first. This was a whole lot more of a kids movie than I remembered, and good. I think this needs to be made for kids. This does not need to be made for basement dwellers like us. I want another generation to love hockey, and this I think they they hit some magic stuff, and I think that they may be on their way with this new series. So what do you guys think of this first episode? Let's start with you, Courtney.
I think you're right. I think it's going to help draw a generation to hockey like we were drawn to hockey. And so I'm excited to see where they go with it.
Chris?
I definitely thought it was a great way to reintroduce the Mighty Ducks franchise to this generation's youth. I do have two little nitpicky things, and their aesthetics. One,
I have more than two, so go ahead.
the big ones.
Okay.
One, I like the fact that they've reintroduced the old color palette of the eggplant, but pairing it with the teal doesn't mesh for me. And I like the logo. And the other thing, the thing that drove me nuts, because I love aesthetics of hockey, which is why I'm wearing my Ducks jersey today, because this is a great jersey in my opinion. The kid who's wearing a Toronto Maple Leafs jersey he's
a typical Toronto fan. Sorry.
With Vancouver Canucks numbers and nameplates. That's unacceptable. You don't do that. I guess they did it to like avoid paying the Maple Leafs like royalty fees, but you don't.
Breath, deep breath.
I'm okay. But overall, I thought the episode was cute, and I like how it's geared more towards kids. And it was refreshing to see the mom from Gilmore Girls talk at a regular pace.
Yeah. Most of the time.
Yeah.
Until she was doing her lawyer thing, and then she went back into it. But that's its own thing. John.
Okay, so I'm tired of this whole thing of let's make the good guys bad guys.
Yes.
You know, that they keep doing. It's like, come on, guys. We get it. It's gritty. But I mean, come on, like, can we just leave stuff alone, please? Like, you could have had the Ducks be like, it doesn't necessarily need to be like Cobra Kai and Miyagi Dojo, like because that's basically what they're setting it up to. That's what they're setting it up to be. I guarantee you, they saw the success of Cobra Kai and they're like, okay, let's do this. And it's like, come on, we really don't need the good guys to be the bad guys, and then have them somewhere meet in the middle and everything's gray. It's like, it is okay to have a good guy and a bad guy and have some sort of like black and white to it. But it's like, I'm tired of like, okay, we're going to make the good guy the bad guy now. And that's my biggest thing with it. Other than that, it's fun. It just, I'm just tired of that whole thing of like, let's flip it on its head. And it's like, it's,
go ahead.
I don't know. I think that you can still have conflict without having to totally just like jack up the
history
storyline. Yeah, the history of it. It's like, okay, because then like again, you've got Gordon Bombay selling meth out of the back of his ice rink, and
we're not there yet.
It gets worse.
That's the season finale.
That's
he's eating old cake to survive. Apparently,
I do want to know going forward why he abandoned his law career.
Again, he's a lawyer
to like run this rundown hockey rink
in Minnesota where he says no hockey.
So it's because his meth career wasn't working out. That's why.
Like I get
disbarred. Like what happened? It's like what happened to cause him to get disbarred? Maybe like
that would be a twist. Maybe maybe Charlie Banks' dad.
I think they forgot. About the lawyer thing by the time they hit this series.
What is this like? What was it like? One of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies where the guy who wrote it had never watched a single Nightmare on Elm Street movie.
Yeah.
But ironically enough, the mom from Gilmore Girls is a paralegal, so clearly they have a fascination with law and hockey.
Yeah,
so, that there's going to be something where he helps bail her out or helps her to become a lawyer. They're going to start a law firm together.
Oh yeah, that's exactly.
That's how this is going to
Don't Bother's law firm, something like that. Like
he'll end up starting his own law firm halfway through.
No,
and she'll come and be his paralegal.
But also be selling meth out of the back of the ice rink.
Gets worse every time, John. Every time.
Yeah, no,
he's selling pure X to the kids that are partying.
He'll be like eating babies in a minute. That's
gross.
The next level of John's.
Okay, so in the real world, where Jonathan doesn't live, apparently. that they did do some foreshadowing that we know what's going to happen at the last episode, and that's the new plucky people are going to get the Ducks name.
And I think that's why they made the Ducks the bad guy in the first place.
Yeah, that's
because the other thing is you can't start a new show, especially if the show is called the Mighty Ducks, the Game Changers. You can't. I know how frustrating it is, but you can't have the Ducks be the good guys and then go up against the Hawks or the bad guys again, because you're just rehashing the movie. Then this way, you get to the point where the course of the series is they're going to earn the Ducks name is what they're going to do, and they're going to change the Ducks reputation.
Well, honestly though, they could have just had it where like you had some sort of a epiphany for the coach, like to go back to basics instead of it being like what they are now. Like they don't have to do the whole, oh, they're the bad guy and they're gonna Cobra Kai it. Like you can do a like they've forgotten where they came from and Gordon Bombay helps bring them back to basics. Like you could have a year where it's like a development year where they suck and it's all of a sudden like for whatever reason like they're just not doing as good in the higher age group. And they need to bring back Gordon to help them remember, hey, it's about having fun and not about winning. Like, there you go. You could have done that instead of like, oh, now they're the worst people on the earth. It's Darth Vader now. Like, yeah.
Now I want to see Darth Vader on ice skates.
Well, I tell you
never seen Star Wars on ice?
No.
No.
I tell you what they are doing right. And honestly, as a parent, I've seen this is the actual way that they're handling the way that parents are with their kids in sports now. Well, if they don't have it by the age of 9, they can just quit and do something else. That there's so much truth to everything they put in there. It's disgusting the way that they have made. And I think that the point they're trying to make in this is sports should be fun. I think it's true because the
only thing that they don't have is the washed up parent who like used to play hockey, but blew their knee out in high school and now is living vicariously through their child.
Yeah, they have that. It's called Gordon Bombay.
He might be coming later.
No, that's for the meth heads.
Yeah.
I feel.
Stop.
I kind of feel bad for this generation of kids, because like when I was growing up, all of like yesterday, like my parents didn't micromanage me, or they didn't really do a lot of things, but that's for a psychology podcast. But like it just seems like there's a lot of pressure put on kids, and that's not fair to them. It's just like, I like the whole direction of, hey, hockey's a fun sport. You don't have to like go on to the NHL, the WNHL.
Well, and 99% of those kids are not going to go past like maybe high school.
Actually, 100% of those kids, let's be honest, because there's the best of the Pee-wees. They get together with the best of all the other Pee-wees, and then they get into a league, and then the best of that league might go on. So you're seeing your percentage shrink every time they go on. And this is from 12 years old.
Yeah.
So it's just like, let them have fun. It's just like, I like the direction of like, just let them have fun, because I don't know if Disney's trying to like do a commentary on like parenting in this generation, where they're going to be like, hey, you need to chill and just let your kids have fun. But like, I don't know.
Stop being a helicopter parent.
And I'm 100%. If that's what the commentary they're going for, I'm 100% in agreement for a change with Disney.
Yeah. Well, and sports parents can be pretty hard on their kids.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't have that problem when I was playing sports. My parents were like, well, do you like competitive swimming? Yes. Well, you're good at it, so why don't you keep doing it? It's like, maybe you should try softball. I mean, you did almost decapitate your brother. So, I mean, with that pitch. So, I mean, it's like, do you want to try it? Was never, but I know that there's lots of parents out there. They just harangue these poor kids in sports.
It's
so, I
gross.
mean, it is refreshing to see. Hockey's fun. Do you like it? Do you want to keep playing it? Okay, then go keep playing it.
I just have to say, growing up, my parents were so proud of my little brother, the star football player.
Wow. That's painful.
Yeah.
he's got a wall of trophies, and then there's your participation award right there next to it.
Now, and I do hold one other issue because the Ducks no longer have, or because Disney no longer owns the Ducks as an NHL team, they can do this now, which I think this makes hockey look bad. Well, we're moving up to 12 to 14, so we are allowing these hits, and I'm like, no, they're still not allowing them at that age. They're still in full cage at that point. They're in full cage at college. They don't allow most of that stuff at college level. I think that makes the sport look bad, and I don't like that they're pushing that as.
I would
But I mean, let's
hazard.
be honest. If you're gonna have a game like where those rules are not there, then it's kind of boring. Like
It's
there's not
Pee
much,
Wee
like-
hockey.
No, but still though, it's like it doesn't matter. Like just pure like cinematography. Oh no, he touched me. Penalty. Like that makes for a very boring game.
But
Yeah.
that's the actually real existence of it.
Oh, I know it is, but I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
if you're trying to make it an exciting game, what's exciting? Oh no, he might go. He touched him. He touched him. Okay, now we've got a penalty shot. It's like it's going to be stopped every like 5 minutes because of some penalty. That would be boring to watch.
That's what it is.
And I mean, there's still a preconceived notion that hockey is
Vile.
super violent. I mean, watching the first movie last night, there's even a line in there where he's giving him the jerseys, and the girl goes, "The Ducks." Somebody says the Ducks don't even have any teeth, and Bombay's immediate response is, "Neither do hockey players."
that was actually one of the lines I loved in the movie.
So
But,
yeah,
like,
I mean, it's along the lines of
It's
what
stereotypes.
No,
yeah,
but at
and
least the nice
it's
thing
along the
about
lines of what
hockey.
John was saying is, if they did the actual Pee Wee rules, it would be super dull to watch.
Well, and that's the thing that I
Yeah.
enjoy about hockey is that it's one of the few sports where, like, yeah, they have changed some rules to make it a little bit safer, but it's more so people don't break their necks. But like, it isn't like football and basketball where it's like now, like football, it's like you can barely even touch the quarterback unless it's like 30 seconds left and it's the 5th down, and like there's like so many like it's a joke. It's a very narrow like line that or ability for you to actually to tackle the quarterback now. And it's like they've made it to where it's like, oh, I can't look at you this way on a Tuesday because that's a penalty now, or that's passing interference. Like they've just made it so like ridiculous. The same with basketball. It's like, oh no, I can't touch you, and now that's a penalty. Like it just they've made it to the point where it's like that's not like it's not an exciting game. It's just like, okay, can I make it in the basket, and that's
But
it.
you're also forgetting these are kids. They shouldn't be.
No, but I'm just talking sports
getting
in
broken.
general. I'm just talking sports in general. We've like basically like my kids, they can't even play like back when they were allowed to go to school, they couldn't play tag. Like seriously, tag was not allowed. I'm not
Really?
joking.
Wow.
Because you might accidentally push somebody and they
Mm.
fall. Like I'm not joking. Like they barely were even able to play dodgeball. Like it was ridiculous. Like
I think there's a balance. There's a
Meanwhile,
balance.
we're over there playing Red Rover and we're clotheslining people.
No, that was
Yes,
fun.
like
I
but-
think there's a balance. There's something in between what
I'm
we
not saying
do.
like total anarchy, but
Like-
I mean like the pendulum has swung so far over to here where it's like I'm surprised you don't have kids walking to school in bubble wrap clothes or
They
something
are.
like that.
But
They are, but that's
we're not
just-
judging everybody's parenting style because I don't want to piss off everybody that listens.
That's bubble wrap clothing is fashion now.
No, but I mean you gotta
Learn what
let
it
kids
means,
be
John.
kids. You gotta let kids
Realis-
be kids and like people be. It's
Yeah.
like if it's with sports, it's like if you don't go into it knowing that you might lose a tooth or break an arm, then if you don't want to do that, then don't play.
I mean,
Nobody's forcing you to play hockey.
The big thing is with the TV series that we have to remember is it is a TV show. It is not reality.
Sorry, Mom.
So,
Like,
we have to
there-
remember.
It needs to still be
It's just
exciting
for-
as a show.
while there's an
Stop with the
inherent-
H.
Sorry, it's my acting pronunciation. While there's a certain level of danger with any type of sport at any age, these kids are not going to put Scott Stevens hits on these other kids in real life. They're probably doing it for the fact it's a TV show, and I have a feeling I'm going to be writing down all the penalties that should have been called as we've going on. But I actually had the pleasure of chatting with Glenn Chico Resch for about an hour when I used to work for Apple. Glenn Chico Resch was a goalie and long time for the Devils, in the NHL. And as we're setting up his iPad, he says to me, "You know, Chris, I know you're a hockey fan, but it's really now the no-hit league. At the minute you even touch a player, they give you a 10-minute misconduct. You know, back in my day, we had people punching each other left and right."
Killing me.
Yeah, but he's the sweetest guy, but that's how he sounded like. But like, even in the NHL today, it's a game based more on skill rather than, you know, Scott Stevens type hits of putting people through the glass or knocking them out cold on the ice.
I'm actually a lover of both, and I think there is a way to balance both.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna have like
this show just took such a weird turn.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna have plays where, you know, they're clean hard hits, but even like when there's a clean hard hit, all the players are gonna, like, even today, like, they swarm the guy who did it and they like beat the hell out of him, which is, you know, another conversation for another podcast. But I don't anticipate, like, when I saw back to the point I was gonna make, when I saw the fact that they're like, this is all hit league, I'm like, no, don't do that. They just invite, like, because now it's going to set this notion that hockey is this dangerous sport when in reality it's
which is the point I was trying to make in that.
Yeah.
You know, because they don't have as much skin in the game anymore since they're not making money from the NHL. So hey,
yeah.
With that being said, you know, I mean, I know that they cannot make this a show where the good guys fail. They've got to fail a lot, but they can't fail at the end. And then I'll be happy, honestly. I just want that one win at the end. Don't think
that's all we're watching the show.
And you know that one girl is going to end up on the team. She's going to be the Adam Banks, and yeah, blah blah. And I'm not complaining because I think that's what's going to be fun with this series. We're not going to be talking about it every week, but we'll probably talk about it at the end. But that is a show, guys. Whew. Yeah. Until next time, I am Dub. I'm here with Courtney, and I'm here with Chris, and I'm here with John from California, and keep on geeking on. But also check out the Patreon, the website, www.iheartgeekshow.com. You probably paid extra for it.
Did you pay extra for it?
We paid extra for it.
We did.
Wow.
We did, yeah. And like, subscribe, share us with a friend, most importantly. And until next time, keep on geeking on, guys.
You have been listening to the latest episode of the iHeart Geek Show. Make sure you visit our website at www.iheartgeekshow.com. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And if you check us out on YouTube, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And keep on geeking on to all of you geek rock stars.